Hello, everybody who is joining this masterclass. You're in for a real treat today. I know there's a lot of people watching the recording who are otherwise not able to attend the training, but we've got some people on live as well. So thank you for those that are able to make the masterclass live. No doubt we're going to have some people dropping in as well. So don't be surprised if you hear a few little squeaks and beaks as people come in. Normally, I would be presenting this masterclass from which is Smash to Smashing It, and you're going to get so much value in terms of some tools and strategies that you can apply to move yourself from stress into strength. But today, I would like to introduce you to Cecilia. Cecilia is coming to you all the way from Canada, right across the other side of the globe to me. And so I'm so honored to be able to have Cecilia in this space. She brings another level of knowledge and wisdom and years of experience into this space to be able to provide you with yet another level and layer of insight into this. She is a specialist in resilience and has lots of knowledge and accreditation that she brings to this. So this is going to be a really exciting and different masterclass for you. So for those of you watching the recording, please make sure, pause and grab a pen and paper. You're going to need one. And for those of you watching live, make sure that you've got a pen and paper handy and that you're not going to be interrupted. I'm going to hand over to you, Cecilia. You are in good hands.
All right. Thank you so much, Barb. What a lovely introduction. I'm very happy to be here, excited to be delivering this masterclass. And I want to just firstly acknowledge you for taking the time out. I know that in today's world, it's not easy to carve 2 hours out of your schedule. So I do not take it lightly that you have committed to this time, and I want to make sure that you receive value as a result of being here live with us today. So this masterclass, as Barb calls it, it's going to be for 2 hours. I promise you there's going to be a lot of tools and techniques. We're going to be talking about stress management, how to manage your emotional resilience. And in preparing for this class, I actually found myself really drawn to the content for a number of reasons. First off, I have a personal experience with breakdowns and total burnout. So back in 2009, I had what you would call today a complete nervous breakdown, physically, mentally, spiritually, emotionally. And because I felt very alone, and at that time, this is 16 years ago, it wasn't commonly discussed. It was something I kind of carried on my own, and I had to claw my way out. I figured out using all kinds of different strategies to overcome what could be termed as a total burnout at that time. So the tools and techniques that I'll be sharing with you here, some of them I actually found my way through, but I so wish that I had access to the Hinwood Institute 16 years ago and had access to John and Judy's amazing stress management techniques. So make sure you have your pen and paper. We're going to be sharing a number of tools, and I counted there's going to be about 23 different tools and techniques that you will be able to apply immediately. And no matter what stage you are in your own level of managing stress, I just hope that you walk away from this feeling a little bit more confident. And more importantly, my hope is that you're able to apply these right away. And whether you want to apply them to be more productive at work, that's great. For me personally, it means a lot to me if you're able to contribute to your well-being. And in that sense, you're able to spend better quality time with your loved ones, because that's what it's really all about, our well-being, so that we can share this with the people that we care about the most. So there's still some people joining us, so I'm going to get started. And I do have one request. And for those of you who are just joining, hello, welcome. And those of you watching the recording, I just have one request. Because this is really packed with content, and I'm going to be sharing tools and techniques throughout, I know that it can be
very distracting, and it's so easy for us to multitask. So my request is that you just give me your full attention for the first 20 minutes. See how it goes. See if you feel actively engaged. The reason I ask this of you is that studies have shown that when we fully engage, when we are completely focused, we absorb information so much better. And in fact, we're able to integrate the knowledge, and it goes into our knowing brain so much faster than if we were doing 2 or 3 things at once. So if you are in fact like got a couple of screens open, that's okay. I can't stop it, but I just want to make a small request that you do this and try it out. I will do my best to keep it engaging. So before we begin, I'm going to put on my, pull up the slides. I'm going to ask you to go grab a glass of water. We're going to be in for probably the next hour and 50 minutes. And grab a pen and paper if you don't have one already. So I'm going to jump right in. And just want to make sure that everyone can see my slide deck. If you can just give me a thumbs up, you can see. Great, thank you. Okay, all right. So the title, Smash to Smashing It, that's what we'll be talking about today. It's a little interesting for me coming from Canada and in North America. For us, the term smash means completely inebriated or obliterated. I'm not sure what it means in Australia, if it's slang, but in this context, it's really about being overwhelmed. And we'll talk a little bit about that in a moment. But I want to open with a quote by Dr. John Hinwood, whose name you will come across throughout this if you have not been exposed to his content before. And he's really the inspiration behind the Hinwood Institute, as well as the content we'll be covering today. So he believed that if you change your beliefs around stress and you take the necessary action, you can actually move from a state of sickness to a state of wellness, and you can create your outcomes moment to moment. So one of the reasons why I feel so compelled to deliver this, and it really resonates with me, is because I believe in this as well. This happened to me in 2009. So we'll be sharing more about John and Judy Hinwood. But first, as I said, the term smash to me is about just completely obliterated. And if you look at this animation here, this in the work context is just feeling completely overwhelmed, completely snowed under, and just unable to cope. So if you look at that at one end, and then smashing it, which I love, if you look at this animation, smashing is like totally crushing it, owning your world, being the king or queen on top of your world. So I'm just going to ask you to have a think about if smashed is 0, just completely snowed under, to smashing it, you're 10 out of 10. I'm not sure why you would be here or why you decided to join. If you're totally smashing it, maybe you're looking for some tips on sustaining it. But I'm just going to ask you to give yourself a little bit of a rating right now in your personal life, in your work life. Are you like a 3.2? Are you a 6.8? You don't have to share it if you don't want to, or you could pop it in a chat, whatever you prefer. But I'm just going to ask you to give yourself a little rating, because I'm hoping that at the end of the masterclass today, you're going to feel very confident that you're going to move up 2 or 3 notches from where you are. That's my goal today. So back in 2009, I would say I was 0. And I have done many things in the last 16 years to make sure that I never get back to that state again, 0. So personally, I have about 4 that you can ask me later if I forget to mention all 4. There are 4 techniques that I still use to this day. They're proven, and I'm very happy to be sharing all of them with you today. So I want to talk a little bit about the Hinwood Institute. And the Hinwood Institute, for those of you who are already familiar with Barbara's work, Doctors Judy and John started the Stress Management Institute based on their 17 years of
of experience as primary healthcare practitioners. So Dr. John Hinwood passed away in 2020, and he and Judy, his wife, passed on their body of work lovingly to Michael Massey and Barbara Clifford to continue to honor his legacy and their legacy. So Michael Massey and Barbara Clifford came together and brought their resources. Michael is specializes in executive coaching and well-being, and Barbara Clifford, as you know, she is the time tamer. She specializes in time management and stress management, among other things. Barbara's amazing. She does so many. She's the one really the core and the talent behind Hinwood Institute. They were so touched by John that they really wanted to carry on his work. And for me, I have a relationship. I've known Michael for a number of years. He's a dear friend of mine. And they brought me on board in January of this year to add on and be the North American location for continuing with the Hinwood Institute. I am especially touched because this work really calls to me. It really resonates with me. And the values and the integrity behind the Hinwood Institute, I feel very aligned with. So that's all I'm going to say. I'm going to jump into the content. I don't want to take up too much more of your time. I know that you want to get into what will be covered today. So we are going to look at stress symptoms and triggers and the types of stressors that you may be experiencing. Now, I don't claim to be an expert here. I only know what I have studied over the years, proven strategies that have worked for me. And I have been studying trauma for the last 20 years. So I bring that knowledge into today's content. But I just want to let you know that this is not only John and Judy's content from all their years of being in professional practice, but you're also getting Barbara Clifford's training materials. So we're going to talk about how to hack your brain to harness stress. And we're going to get into emotional resilience. And more importantly, we're going to be sharing with you practical tools that you can take away right away after the session. And I also want to mention that all of you are experts in how you manage stress. So some of the things I will be sharing, you may already know. And if you want to add your own flavor to it, please pop into the chat if it's something that you agree with, something that has worked for you. Because whoever is joining and listening to this, if it's something that they had considered, but they hear a couple of people say that it really works, it might give them that motivation and that impetus to try it out. So please, I would love to hear from you, your take on it, and love to combine this incredible gathering of minds on this topic. So let us learn some simple, sustainable self-care tools, and also to avoid burnout and to manage our stress storms. So just very quickly, the Hinwood Institute model is about the resilient leader. And today we're talking about stress. And do you see how it links with time? Barbara really is the expert here on time management, but she calls it energy management, which also really connects with me. This is the one thing that I have learned is to manage my energy. I'm also really passionate about resilience, and I've developed a number of courses on emotional resilience and how to build up your resilience based on your personality types. My background is really in leadership, so I look forward to sharing more with you on leadership down the road. But communication skills, well-being, you see that they're all interlinked. And Michael Massey is the expert on well-being. So we're going to get a little bit more into that, but this is just roughly the, or simply the Hinwood Institute Resilient Leader model. And I'm not sure how far you are on this side of overwhelmed, overworked, or just emotionally spent. But our goal is to get you to the other side, feeling valued. One thing that I've learned is that when I'm grounded and I'm resourced, I am definitely more creative and solution focused.
We want to make sure that you have access to that. And a little bit about motivation. When we wake up and excited about what we're going to be working on, that creates rocket fuel motivation. And we're going to talk a little bit about choices as well, to know that based on your perspective and your mindset, you do have choices moment to moment. And I'm not sure which one of you aims to be a trailblazer, but that is something very uplifting and motivating. And our goal here today is to have you walk away with certainty and confidence. So the next few slides, I'm going to get a little bit into the statistics. I know that stress gets a bad rap, but it's actually good that we can talk about stress today, whereas 10 years ago, it was not such an openly discussed topic. It's something that we knew about, or maybe we had a limited information, or we kind of demonized stress. Now, this is a little dated from 2015, but I know that worldwide, this statistic is not too far off, meaning that 90% of adults will feel stress in at least one important area of their life. But 40%, that's nearly half, they feel very stressed about one part of their life. And that is something that we want to eliminate, mitigate, and manage, because it is not enjoyable to experience this level of stress. Here are some more statistics. It's also very costly, mental health in the workplace. 39 billion in lost productivity. And I found this doing some research on 2025 stats. In the US alone, I know that there is a lot of stress going on in North America right now with elections in my own country, but stress costs over $300 billion a year. Now, I worked in HR. I worked for 2 years in-house, and it was for a local company here in Canada, and we spent a lot of resources on mental health and for engagement, because the cost is not direct, but it is extremely costly. The cost is in the form of absenteeism, reduced productivity, and workplace illness. So stress burnout is real, which I personally experience. I hope that no one here is going through that right now. It is a struggle. I do know of coworkers in the past who suffered from burnout, and this content is going to help. Hopefully, will help. And here's an interesting quote, that healthy employees are 3 times more productive. 3 times. Just think about that. 3 times. That is a huge difference. So what does this mean? It means that burnout is real, and our goal here is to help people get to closer to that continuum of smashing it. And here's some more sobering facts. We say stress may be a contributing cause of health issues. I know myself personally, it really affected my health to the state where I was not able to function. I had no energy at all. And I did everything I could to get out of that state, but it leads to absenteeism. And in 2019, the World Health Organization officially classified burnout as an occupational phenomenon. So those are the sobering facts. And just note that when John and Judy started the Stress Management Institute, there were very few companies studying stress management, but they knew that stress was costing businesses and will continue to cost businesses if it was not addressed. So they started, and they were well ahead of their time, they started investing in solutions on prevention. So they were ahead of their time, and we're so lucky to have access to this content today. So I'll be sharing with you now a little bit more onto the background of stress. And please feel free to pop in the chat anytime if you have any comments around this. So I'm going to firstly just go into the symptoms of stress. Let me just pull this up here. Now, what you're about to see
are the symptoms of what will happen when you're actually experiencing stress. Some of us experience stress and we may not even be aware of it. So I'm going to let the animations show up. You're going to see the symptoms appear. And let me know if some of these apply to you. You don't have to share if you don't want to, but which ones connect with you and which ones would you say are you more prone to? So you could pop in the chat. If I can see the chat, can you see the chat? Let me see. Let me see here. Oh, please feel free to pop in the chat if something jumps out at you. So if we're talking about symptoms of stress, it can be in the form of fatigue. That's an obvious one. For some of us, it's a very natural response. I fortunately have learned a lot of techniques on how to manage them before they get to a symptom. But just note that if you're experiencing any of this, you're already in stress mode. So there are some solutions, don't worry. But I want to just get into what are the triggers, because what you saw on the previous slide, they are symptoms of stress. It's what happens when we are already stressed. The jittery feelings, the increased heart rate, the extreme emotions, the busy mind, the incessant mind, and the incessant mind, that's a very dominating stress response. So I'm going to talk about what triggers our stress. So Dr. Carl Albright, he is a management consultant, and he wrote in his book, The Stress and the Manager, there are 4 types of common stress. So these are the stress triggers. The first one is what we call anticipatory stress. This stress describes the kind of anxiety, the feelings and emotions you feel for something that has not happened yet. So it's related to worry, and it's something that's focused on the future. It could be something at work. It could be something that you're a little nervous about, but sometimes anticipatory stress can be vague and undefined, but it's just an overall dread about the future, or that something will go wrong. This is not a comforting feeling. It is not pleasant at all. I remember feeling the anxiety and waking up with a panic attack about, just as I said, it's not defined, it's just a worry about the future. So psychologists say that depression is focused on a worry in the past, and anxiety is about thoughts in the future. Did I freeze just now? Nope. Okay, good. So mindfulness is a way to overcome anticipatory stress, but we'll talk a little bit more about that later, because not everyone has the ability to just go stop and meditate for 30 minutes. But I just want to emphasize that the mind cannot tell the difference between something that is actually happening and something that is imagined. So if you spend time in anticipatory stress, thinking about the future, thinking about something that hasn't happened, you are triggering the stress responses in the body. We'll talk a little bit about how to mitigate this. The second type of stress trigger is time stress. So it is a very common one, and time management is such a sought after topic, and it's something that you definitely should reach out to Barb Clifford about. So I just want to see a quick show of hands. How many here are quite busy and usually book back-to-back meetings? Anyone here do that? Yeah. Oh, okay, I see. Time is an adrenaline chaser. And I saw a woman with a shirt the other day. Her shirt said, "Usually late, but worth the wait." And it was done tongue in cheek and in a cute little teddy bear cartoon. But I thought, oh my goodness, she is already
claiming to the world that she is usually late. And that actually sends some signals to the brain. I bet you that she's constantly running behind. That is a major stressor that we can manage, we can control. So we'll talk a little bit about how to manage this and how to reduce the stress. This is something that you actually can control because everybody has control of their 24 hours a day. Nobody will get more, nobody will get less. Every single one of us gets the same amount. And we'll talk a little bit about this. The third stress trigger is encounter stress. It revolves encounters with a certain person or a group of people. They could make you uncomfortable, or it's just potential for conflict. There's some relationship challenges there. And it's the kind of stress that can really make you feel overwhelmed, and you really dread spending time with this particular person or this group of people. It's also the type of stress that occurs if you are in a frontline role, a client-facing role. I know that a lot of customer service staff, they have to deal with a lot of encounter stress, and they deploy a lot of techniques to help them manage to recover from the onslaught of stress that they receive. So this type of stress also happens when you have contact overload, when you feel drained or overwhelmed by interacting with too many people. I know that this sometimes cannot be avoided, so we'll share with you some tips and techniques on how to overcome this. I do know that it's more than just work. It could be people in your personal life where you really need to resource yourself in order to deal with and manage interactions with certain people. The fourth stress trigger is situational stress. Situational stress happens in many of our everyday life situations. It could be making a presentation or a very important client meeting. It could also be starting a new job and being in unfamiliar territory. Or you are about to go into a confrontation that you're a little nervous about. So situational stress can be quite daunting. And we will also talk about how to manage this. So if you think about back to the symptoms, we have now 4 types, and we're talking about the first one, which is anticipatory. We have time, we have encounter, and we have situational. So we want to look at what are the ones that tend to trigger us the most. So I'm just going to ask you to pop in the chat. Which one do you feel you tend to gets a little concerned about, tends to trigger your stress? If you could just pop in the chat, let me see what we're working with here. And let's see if we could personally help. Let me just open up the chat. Hang on. Oh, Dame, I can't see the chat for some reason. Let me just try to open up here. Okay, I can't see. I got to figure out how to manage that. Let me just. Hello. Hi, for those of you just joining us, we're talking about the triggers of stress. And I'm going to give you quick and easy strategies for all 4 triggers right now. If I could just open the chat. I can't open it. But anyway, I'm just going to continue. Dame, if you could read out some of them to me, that would be great. For some reason, I can't open it. I'm not sure what's happening here. Okay, I'm going to go into some quick strategies for the 4 triggers. And this is just very high level. We're going to get into more detailed, more concrete, practical tools in a minute. But if you're looking at how to manage anticipatory stress, get focus. Like if you're able to tune in and focus on one thing at a time, not only is it keeping your attention on one thing, you're not thinking about the future.
your attention is not distracted and taken away. So a couple of things that will help you with anticipatory stress is contingency planning. If you're able to just really work out what are the things that can happen, how would you handle it, this will calm you and help you prepare. The other one is the locus of control. If you ever want to look up this is a model that I shared a lot during the global pandemic, during COVID, when I ran master classes. Having a locus of control means that we are focused on the things that we can control. There are so many things that are out of our control. It's the ability to make the distinctions and then feeling empowered by the things that you can control. And quick strategy for time stress is clarity. This is where if you have clarity, we say that when you have clarity, you are empowered because clarity gives you certainty. And this clarity is in the form of your priorities. So one thing I'll just offer right out of the gate is, book a strategy session with a time tamer with Barb. She can help you fine tune and get that clarity. So time management training will help if you find that your calendar is completely overloaded and you are struggling with getting an extra hour in every day for yourself. And then, of course, Stephen Covey's 4 quadrants is one of my all-time favorites. Classic 4 quadrants and way of prioritizing your work. And it was relevant 40 years ago, is still so relevant today. And I believe Barbara has a masterclass. You can catch a replay of it. Is called How to Manage Your Outlook and Increase Your Billable Hours. So if you want a copy of that, just drop a line, send Dame an email, and she will send you a replay. The strategy for situational stress is preparation. So if you're going into uncharted waters, you're going into something that you feel that could be confrontational, could be daunting, prepare, prepare, prepare. So when I used to teach public speaking, especially for those sessions where people were really concerned about Q&A, like they're delivering to a very tough audience. So I would put them through the grinder and I would say, okay, think about the worst 10 questions that the audience can ask you and answer them. So this is great preparation. So they would come up with a 10 and then they would be able to respond and answer. They prepared that. And then I would say, come up with 10 more. And then after that, come up with 10 more. So by the time that they prepared 50 questions that could potentially be damaging or challenging, they already felt so much more prepared. And funnily enough, when they went into their presentation, nobody asked them these questions, but it's because they changed their relationship with that situation. So a couple of things that I recommend is seek out a mentor or coach if you want some extra support. Your coworkers can also provide mentoring and buddy coaching. And I definitely believe resilience will get you through any situation. So I definitely would love to share more tools. We have a workshop coming up in May on foundations of emotional resilience. The last one is the overall strategy in counter stress is boundaries. So if you feel that there's a certain personality, a certain relationship where it gives you stress, make sure you clearly define your boundaries. We're not going to be getting into boundaries today, but this will be a surefire way for you to protect your own energy and safeguard this relationship. This is through improving interpersonal skills and increasing your personal awareness and self-management. Self-management can help a lot. And I think we have a couple of tools on self-management coming up. So I'm just going to pause for a moment there. And we shared a lot. And I just want to check with everyone. How are you doing? And now I can check the chat. Okay. So Victoria says 80% of those symptoms. Oh dear, Victoria, definitely want to have a chat with you. My goal is for you to really walk away so that these symptoms are not draining you. And I promise you, relief is on the way. And you said every community group meeting, time stress is the one that's dominating. Victoria, you're laughing. Is it time stress? Is that the one that's getting you? No? Okay. Mind won't shut off, critical, busy mind. Okay. All right. So I just want to quickly summarize before I go back to the slide deck. We talked about the symptoms and we talked about the 4 stress triggers. Can you tell me what those 4 triggers are? Can you remember what they are? You can just pop them in the chat. Anticipatory was one. Time. Do you remember the third one? We had time, encounter, and situational. So next, I want to shift into the classifications of stress. So this is different from the stress triggers. We have the stress symptoms and the stress triggers. And now we want to get into the classifications because stress does get a bad rep as being negative, but in fact, there are examples of good stress. So Dr. Hans Selye was a bit of a pioneer, actually. He published his book, Stress Without Distress. And now we're understanding a little bit about the triggers and the symptoms. We're going to get into different types of stress and how you can leverage and use these strengths, these stress responses to your advantage. So eustress, I'm not sure if you've heard of this. This term is a good stress because it is activated when we are exercising and when we are in nature. It actually courses through our body. It gives us a surge. And some of the physical sensations may feel like stress responses, like heart rate increasing, racing mind, and sweating or increasing temperature. But it's the same sensations as if you're excited about something, like you're about to go to a party or you're about to get on a plane to go on vacation. So eustress is considered good stress. And then next we have understress, which is not so good. When you think about someone who's bored, would you say that they are stressed? I didn't think that someone bored would be considered stress, but actually it does build up. And boredom can cause, chronic boredom is actually a cause of depression, anxiety, and insomnia. And at work, it is a term, the opposite of burnout is chronic bore out. And boredom is an emotional state that's characterized by feeling unstimulated, unfocused, and restless, and just not wanting to engage. And some bad news out there, boredom in retirement is actually a silent killer. So if you're unengaged and bored at work, this will have impact on your health and on your physical well-being. Another stress that I want to talk about is overstress. So overstress in short bursts is actually good for you. It's what we call the autonomic stress response. We will feel that, like if a deadline is looming, we get that extra burst of energy to get things done. And in fact, when you're getting super hyper vigilant for a task on hand, that is actually stress coming on the body. So overstress is good in short bursts, but you want to be able to turn it off because you don't want to continue to have this adrenaline coursing through your body. And the key is knowing when to turn it off. So another thing is our world today, we are not designed our brains are not designed to take in so much information. We have way too much information for our brains to process. And evolution has evolved our brains to have the thinking mind, but just the technology in the last 20 years, we do not have the capacity to handle so much information. So turning off devices and not having direct access to it all day is going to help us. I don't know how many of you are in the position to turn off the phones. I mean, doing a digital detox can be extremely helpful, but I know that it is a big ask today. So the last one is distress. This is when the autonomic nervous system is activated and what we call the sympathetic system, the fight, flight, stress response is activated. Distress is actually good for us because it keeps us alive. It shuts down the digestive, reproductive systems because we need all the energy to run for our lives. And we need that extra blood flow to our limbs so that we can fight or flight. And for most of us, though, however, I don't know how often our lives are in danger to the degree where we need to activate the distress response. However, something such as a sudden movement to avoid a car can trigger it. But the thing is, we need to know how to release it. We'll share some tools on how to deactivate. But note that I don't know who in their lives or in people we know will be actually running down the river to run away from a giant alligator. The physical response, and that's the miraculous thing about the human body, we are so wired for survival. We have it in us. The body releases the stress hormones to keep us alive. But in our world today, our distress is more psychological. So we want to make sure that we're not chronically under this level of stress because these stress hormones shut down our rest and digest, our calm nature, and this is going to have long-term health effects. So I do know that for myself when I was sharing about my story, I do know that back in 2009, I was in chronic distress. And that is why my body was constantly pumping out adrenaline, and I did not know how to turn it off. I eventually learned how through my own research and through a trial and error of many different techniques. But thankfully, we've packaged all of them here so that you can take away these techniques. I'm going to share with you one. This one is really straightforward. It's considered one of the quickest, it's one of the fastest and easiest way to calm your nervous system. And it works in real time. It's accessible to everyone. And I learned about this from a well-known neuroscientist, Andrew Huberman, who is a professor of neurobiology and ophthalmology at the Stanford School of Medicine. And he has a great podcast. I'm a bit of a Huberman fan, and I don't know if anyone else is a Huberman fan. Great information. So he talks about this one technique, and I'm just going to give it to you right away. It's very easy, and this is very easy to teach to children as well. And it's called the physiological sigh. The physiological sigh, I see that a couple of you are familiar with this. It's taking 2 inhales, which activates the pulmonary system. It opens up the chest for air to come in. But as you exhale, you're actually releasing carbon dioxide and you are calming. So the key here is 2 inhales and then 1 long exhale in the form of a sigh. You're actually resetting the body. So I'm going to ask you to just quickly try that out. Try it out with me. 2 inhales and then the physiological sigh. 2 or 3 of those, you've already changed your state. So physiological side. Dr. Huberman said that there's a lot of research right now. A lot of scientists are looking at breath work and why the physiological side is so effective. They're doing a lot of tests in stress labs around it. So here you go, a quick one for you to take away. Another one that can release pent-up energy is the same concept as the physiological side, but you use your lips. We call it the flutter. So again, just inhale and then just let the air out through your lips. Just that motion will calm the autonomic system. So again, just try it out with me. Inhale and then do the flutter. And then another one, quick one that I'm going to share with you is this stress ring. I don't know if you could see it. It's a what we call acupressure stress ring. And you can buy this on Amazon for about $1. And you can have it for those who are tactile. It's just something to manage. You can put your energy into the tactile part of it, and you can give yourself a little bit of acupressure on your fingers. So these are really small, easy things that anyone can do in order to remove you from that state where you're getting into the symptoms. So let's summarize. We have the symptoms of stress. We have the stress triggers, the 4 triggers, and then we have the classifications. So the classifications, we have eustress, which is good for you, the type that you get when you exercise and you're out in nature. We have overstress, which in short bursts is actually good for getting things done, but we want to make sure that we can modulate and turn it off when we no longer need that extra surge of energy. We have understress, which we need a little stimulation. And in the polyvagal theory or the stress management world, we call that disassociating or freeze mode. So when we're under stress, we can be prone to freezing and not knowing and just not moving. So that's when maybe we need to activate and change our physiology. And then last, we have distress. I do have a story about distress and how to overcome that, and that's coming a little later. But I think that's enough about all the classifications and stress triggers. Let's get into the tools. What do you say? Yeah, let's get into some ways to hack your brain to harness stress. So now that we've looked at the triggers, the causes, and the types, let's look at how we can actually use stress to our advantage. And according to Professor Ian Robertson here pictured, who is a chair of psychology and the Institute of Neuroscience in Trinity College in Dublin, he says that stress is a kind of energy that we can harness. And we can actually channel it into a positive energy, because when we use it in a way that is serving us, we can radically improve performance and creativity. He also says that it is possible to hack the brain. I love doing things that will manipulate the brain. I am all about mindset change and using rewiring. So this really, really speaks to me. He talked about being able to hijack the fight or flight hormones, cortisol and adrenaline, before they cause problems. So cortisol is a stress hormone, but it has a negative reputation of being harmful. In fact, the right amount of cortisol is really good for us. So when we wake up in the morning, we get a hit of cortisol. It gets us moving, it gets us out of bed and into action. So cortisol can be a good thing. And then we say that too much adrenaline, yes, can cause fatigue. But the right amount of adrenaline is actually really good for boosting our immune system and helping our bodies fight against infection. So that's why people do cold plunges or they take a cold shower. That is a way to activate a physiological stress response. So this next slide, I don't know how many brain experts are out there. I certainly am not, but I've studied this for a number of years. And I do know that the amygdala is our alarm center. So our amygdala is constantly scanning the environment for danger. That's all it does. It's on alert for danger. And our hypothalamus is our operations manager. This is another amazing thing about our brain, about our bodies. It knows exactly when to release stress hormones based on the information that comes up through the body. So we have information that comes up through the body, and then we also have information from the brain going into the body. And it's always on alert to release the hormones necessary to keep you alive. The hippocampus is your brain's biographer, and I find this so fascinating because it stores conscious memories from your entire lifetime to be able for you to accurately assess the situation, and again, to keep you alive. If a dangerous situation comes up, you're able to react, sometimes unconsciously, kind of like when somebody throws something at you and you automatically duck. That's just a very reactive response. However, it can hijack your reactions, such as if you had childhood trauma or you were bullied in school. And if something similar happens, it has that kind of energy, you would react in a way, you would shut down, or you wouldn't be able to cope. And the prefrontal cortex is the thinking mind, is the part that is able to use logic and rational reasoning to make the right decisions in the moment. So I'm going to give you just a little bit of an example. So for me, I have this tendency. This is being a woman, traveling to cities for work. And I have learned that I never go to neighborhoods or walk down a street that feels unsafe, even though logically I know it's safe. And one of the things I do is I never walk close to the edge where there may be somebody lurking in the darkness. Now, that is something illogical because I've never been attacked before, but it's something that my brain has picked up as a sign of potential danger, probably in movies and in the media. So for some reason, I feel safer if I walk in the middle of the street so that if there is danger, I can run. So that is something that my brain is just designed to help me, to keep me safe. Now, logically, my prefrontal cortex, my thinking mind, knows that I will be okay. I'm in the city and it is safe. So there's just something to reflect on your day-to-day, how you move, how you scan information. And I'll give you another tip. And this is from, again, Andrew Huberman's work. Because he started out his career in studying eye movements in ophthalmology, one thing he says that our brains, our bodies are designed to do is to scan and to use our eyes. When we use our eyes, we're actually activating the neurochemistry of courage. So if you're feeling a little uncertain, you're feeling a little unsafe, or feeling that stress response, just getting up and then moving and scanning the environment can actually help you because you are now more in control. So that's just a simple little hack. But another one that we shared when I worked in-house was we asked people to use the 20-20-20 rule. I'm not sure if you've heard of this before. Every 20 minutes, get up for 20 seconds and stare out at the horizon for 20 seconds. And just expand your eyes to your perspective. Because when we're too closed in, there are times for being focused, using our eyes and narrowing our focus. But when we do it too much, not only is there eye strain, but we're not seeing the bigger picture. And that
done over an excessive amount of time can really narrow us and cause us to go into the stress response mode. So this is just how amazing the brain is. And I want to share with you a little video clip from this psychologist called Kelly McGonigal, and her TED Talk is called How to Make Stress Your Friend. So if we now determine that we can use stress to our advantage, and this is very much Dr. John Hinwood's body of work, and this is what she says: if you change your mind about stress, you can actually change your body's response to stress. So if your heart rate is increasing, you're feeling a shortness of breath, you're feeling blood course through your body, we may interpret that as signs of anxiety or we're not coping well. But what if we just changed our mind about that? Now, that is something that is quite profound to me. I want you to just take that in for a minute. You don't even have to do anything. You don't have to do a single thing. All you need to do is just change your mind. Just think differently about what stress means. You're already making a difference. So I'm going to share with you a brief video clip about her talking. This is only like 3-4 minutes. And make a note of it. You can watch her TED Talk. She's got some good examples of how to change your way of thinking about it and making a difference. So here it is, the clip. Just want to make sure the sound is working.
You'd probably be a little stressed out. Your heart might be pounding, you might be breathing faster, maybe breaking out into a sweat. And normally we interpret these physical changes as anxiety or signs that we aren't coping very well with the pressure. But what if you viewed them instead as signs that your body was energized, was preparing you to meet this challenge? Now, that is exactly what participants were told in a study conducted at Harvard University. Before they went through the social stress test, they were taught to rethink their stress response as helpful. That pounding heart is preparing you for action. If you're breathing faster, it's no problem. It's getting more oxygen to your brain. And participants who learned to view the stress response as helpful for their performance, well, they were less stressed out, less anxious, more confident. But the most fascinating finding to me was how their physical stress response changed. Now, in a typical stress response, your heart rate goes up and your blood vessels constrict like this. And this is one of the reasons that chronic stress is sometimes associated with cardiovascular disease. It's not really healthy to be in this state all the time. But in the study, when participants viewed their stress response as helpful, their blood vessels stayed relaxed like this. Their heart was still pounding, but this is a much healthier cardiovascular profile. It actually looks a lot like what happens in moments of joy and courage. Over a lifetime of stressful experiences, this one biological change could be the difference between a stress-induced heart attack at age 50 and living well into your 90s. And this is really what the new science of stress reveals, that how you think about stress matters. So my goal as a health psychologist has changed. I no longer want to get rid of your stress. I want to make you better at stress. And we just did a little intervention.
Okay, so I'm just gonna pause for a moment here. I'm gonna stop. And I just want to ask you to reflect on that. Like, that's quite profound to me, that we don't even have to do anything. By simply having a different relationship with it, with thinking that it's helpful, can make a difference. So I'm just gonna, oh, okay, that stopped. And I want to just open it up. I'm gonna stop the recording. I'm gonna open it up and ask you what your views are around this turning point here about stress. I'm seem to, thank you. You're the best. Okay. All right. So now, after hearing from Kelly, let's move on. We're going to talk about stress hormones.
You'd probably be.
So we already talked about how to harness stress to our advantage. And just want to quickly
go through. Let's see here. Another way for us to have stress work for us is to activate the happy hormones. Now, human beings are hardwired for social connection. It's actually built in as a mechanism for our survival. And I'm sure some of you here on this call have pets, and they are an incredible source of your nervous system regulation. Now, if if you're in a stressful situation, like Janine said, you're about to go on stage, or Victoria, you have to present in front of a lot of people, and you're not able to get that social connection to regulate, just even thinking about a loved one will activate the happy hormones. So we have the fright, flight, and fight. We talked about cortisol and adrenaline. But the happy hormone, that's a really cute animation of Barbara on the roller coaster. Now we have the happy hormones, oxytocin, which is bonding, which when we access oxytocin, our hearts open, we're so much gentler, and we're so much calmer. And the same with serotonin and dopamine. Endorphins, amazing study on endorphins. Endorphins are extremely powerful. You can access endorphins when you exercise. And I just want to get across to you that our brains are a 24/7 drugstore that is open all day, and it produces all the chemicals that we need. If we need to manage pain, if we need to manage stress, if we need a little extra motivation, it's about just knowing how to access it. And also, if you think about energy, which we'll be talking about in a moment, our energy management directly connects to the release of the happy hormones. I want to just bring back into the conversation when I told you I had my physical mental health breakdown. There was no one who could tell me what to do. I went to see many doctors, many health practitioners, and there was no solution. All they could do was prescribe me prescription antidepressants. That was the only thing that they could offer at the time. So I want to just let you know that that's not the way. It maybe be for some, but that's not the only solution. There are many other ways to access your internal drugstore. So we're going to jump into emotional resilience, because that's another way for us to access the happy hormones and to overcome a lot of challenges that we experience in life. So I'm just going to let you read this description of what emotional resilience is. It's your ability to adapt to stressful situations and bounce back into a state of resourcefulness. And I can say that every single one of you here, you are all resilient. You're incredibly resilient. And how do I know that? Well, first off, you're here. You survived the global pandemic. Every single one of us, no matter what the situation, it disrupted our life. And to a certain degree, for some, it was more extreme, but we survived and we came out the other side stronger and more resilient. I'm going to talk to you a little bit about how to build that resilience and what are the common traits, the characteristics of people with emotional resilience. And for many Australians, this is a familiar face. This is Turia Pitt, and I came across her story a couple of years ago. I was so taken by someone who went through such a horrific experience, but through her high levels of resilience was able to come through on the other side and just really turn an experience into something positive. So when we talk about the 7 common traits, I'd like you to have a think about what got you through COVID, what got you through the pandemic. What was it that you really drew on? What that really helped you get through such a tough period? And I don't want to cause stress by making you go back to the trauma of what we all experience, but it's good to reflect back and look at what was it that you did that made it an experience that you can draw upon. So the first one is optimism. And this one is something that I have learned to, it's like hardwired into me. It's something that through the challenges in my life, I learned that optimism was the way for me to move forward. Now, optimism is not for everybody, because there are many of us who are safer and tend to spend more time in skepticism because it's actually a protective measure. I think it is a good thing to be skeptical and not be eternally optimistic like I am. But it is also a harder trait. Why? Because our brains, human nature, is hardwired to be pessimistic, to always look for what's wrong. So it actually takes even a little bit more strength to be optimistic. But I can go back and share with you, or in as we continue, and also at the end, that John and Judy's work from the Hinwood Institute is about optimism. And Barbara has a masterclass coming up called Expect a Miracle. And that was really Dr. John Hinwood's calling card. He wrote many books on mindset change and what he calls Expect a Miracle. And in his lifetime, he passed out over 100,000 cards that said Expect a Miracle. Imagine if you're walking down the street and you pick up a card that says Expect a Miracle. What would that do? How would that change your psychology? So optimism is something that is available to everyone. And I want to check with you later to see which ones really stood out for you during your times of struggle. The next one is perspective. This is my favorite, my personal favorite, because I know that when I'm able to change my mind about something, if I have a mindset shift, I'm able to change my reality. And one of the things that I specialize in is helping people change their limiting beliefs. Identify what the limiting belief is, remove it, and change it into an empowering belief. So if you're interested, I'm more than happy to spend some time with you to work on some of those nagging limiting beliefs. Changing perspective can totally change your life, and I experienced this. The next one is perseverance. I know that we all are aware of being persistent. And if you look at Turia, imagine if she did not persevere. Just thinking about her journey back to health, like to walk again, to talk again, what it took for her, the persistence. And she described in one of her talks, like even just, her arms, she could not bend her elbows. And the fact that she learned slowly to bend her elbows so that she could feed herself. After months of rehab, when she finally was able to feed herself, she celebrated. That is persistence. And one thing that I heard in Dr. Hinwood's celebration of life, Judy said that he said every day, his mantra was, I am a master of persistence and I do what it takes. He said that every day. And he would walk around and say, I'm a master of persistence and I do what it takes. I think that was a secret as to how they achieve so much, and all the books and all the books he's written and all the people that he influenced. So there's something about perseverance. The next one is emotional awareness. The more aware we are of ourselves, the more we are aware of others around us, the more resilient we are. And I use a number of diagnostic tools to help people increase their awareness so that they have higher emotional intelligence. Emotional intelligence helps you get through those encounter stress moments when you're dealing with people. Our lives are about dealing with people. Not everyone is there for the social bonding, to love us. There will be conflict. So having emotional awareness will equip you. The next one is support. This one is also mentioned in Kelly's TED Talk. And this was the one thing that surprised her the most about stress. And that is, Human connection is the key to transmute stress that is harmful to stress that is good for us. So I wish I knew this, and I can't turn back the clock. Whatever happened to me happened for a reason, but I so wish that I had the courage to ask for help. I definitely do that now. I definitely don't go at it alone, but I really hope that those on the call, those who are listening, those who are struggling, know that support is available, that you don't have to do this alone. Sense of humor. I'm not sure who here is a jokester, but boy, I used this during COVID. I had to laugh. And in fact, what I did was I made sure I didn't watch any news and any drama. All I watched was funny shows. I still do it to this day. I insist on watching sitcoms that are 20 minutes. They make me laugh, and movies that are lighthearted and with an inspirational theme, because there's so much drama in the world. I don't need to inundate my brain with more. That I want to laugh, and laughing is an incredible therapy. And finally, choice. Choice is moment to moment, knowing that you are not stuck in this situation. It requires a real frame of mind. Recently, I was caught in this kind of complain mode about how I was stuck at doing something. And then I just use my skills, my tools to reframe and say, no, it's actually a choice. Everything that I don't enjoy doing, I say, I choose to, because. And just saying that, just note how empowering that can be. I choose to. And to remove the word should from your vocabulary. Should means that you are stuck. But changing it to I choose to gives you so much more energy, which is leading to this next piece on resilience is energy management. So before I go into this, I just want to check, did you make note of which of the 7 that you really invested in, or what are your top 3? I'd love to hear from you, because this is just my interpretation, but your stories are so much more compelling because they're your stories. And I hope that you will share this with others, that they may seem like broad terms, but in action, they're very compelling. And whether it's sense of humor, or whether it's Turia's story, or a story about getting support, reaching out when it's not something that you normally do. These are things that can really build your emotional resilience. And I hope to share more of this with you at our upcoming workshop, Foundations of Emotional Resilience. It is actually one of my favorite topics, personally, because I went through it, and now I know that how powerful and how resourceful it can be. So just want to give you an example. If you're about to go into a situation that can be potentially stressful, it's situational stress, let's say. If I resource myself with emotional resilience, I'm able to cope with that. I'm able to go into that situation. And even if it's stressful in the moment and I find myself knocked down a little bit, my recovery is really quick. So I want to just throw that out there as something to invest in, emotional resilience. And it's something that you can teach your kids, you can teach your friends, teach your loved ones. Very useful. But this next one is probably one of my favorites. And I will say that energy management is the one thing that I still do today. And it is the one thing that has kept me going. So energy management is how we manage energy. So what does this mean? Dr. John Hinwood says that you can call it energy management in different ways. It could be spiritual, physical, brain, professional, emotional. So let me give you a quick example, okay, of energy management. Getting a good night's sleep, that's topping up my energy. Working into the late hours and not getting enough sleep, that's draining my energy. So, life happens. There will be days, there will be times when I drain, but I need to be able to top it up again. So being with somebody who completely drains you, okay, sometimes you can't avoid it. It's someone at work, but you want to be able to resource yourself after that. If you're consistently in an energy drain, you're just going to keep depleting. Another one is going out for a walk. Walk 20 minutes in nature. That's going to boost my spiritual energy and my brain energy. But if I have to stare at a computer for 3 hours, that's going to drain. So managing your energy and knowing what your limits are, make sure that you are in surplus every day. And these are simple things that you can control. I know there's the obvious, right? Sleep, getting proper rest, exercise, eating the right food. But I can tell you, going to the basics actually really works. And that has worked for me. So manage your energy, and this is where the boundaries come in. So just want to make sure you have your pen and pencil or pad ready, because we're going to be now sharing more and more tools. Like I don't know how many I've shared so far, but we're going to be giving you a number of techniques that you can take away right now. They all relate to handling the stress triggers, as well as transmuting it from being harmful to being helpful. So breath work is becoming very popular these days. And by controlling your breathing, you can actually access a part of your brain where you have control over your emotional state. So we have what we call brain giving the body information, but accessing breath is the body changing the brain's chemistry. So breathing deeply can make a big difference in your stress response. And I'm going to share with you a few quick ones. We already shared the physiological sigh, but this one, I don't know if you're familiar with it, but it's called box breathing. It is so simple, and anyone can do it, and everyone has access to it. It's a technique used by Navy SEALs and astronauts to help calm their nervous system. And I just have a quick little video here to show you.
Most people believe that Navy SEALs are just people that are able to handle stress better than other people, like it's an innate ability. But in reality, it's not. It's something that is trained during SEAL training, and as a candidate, if you aren't able to master stress management, you really can't be a Navy SEAL, and it comes out in training. And so the exercise that we use to prepare ourselves for high stress situations, whether that's a training exercise or combat, is a thing called box breathing. You breathe in for 4 seconds, you use your diaphragm to do it, you hold that breath for 4 seconds, then you breathe out on a slow 4 count for another 4 seconds, and then you hold with all the air out of your lungs for 4 seconds. And you repeat that loop 5 or 6 times, and what that does is it turns down your sympathetic reaction, which is the fight or flight reaction, and it turns up your parasympathetic nervous system, which is responsible for rest, relaxation, peace, and it restores harmony to mind and body. Give it a shot.
Okay, shall we give it a shot? It's really easy. So inhale for 4, hold for 4, exhale for 4, and then hold for 4. Box breathing. So I have a little diagram for you, and if you're watching the replay, you can breathe along with us. Are you okay to let's give it a couple of rounds, all right? So here we go. Hold. 1, 2, 3, 4. Breathe out. 1, 2, 3, 4. Hold. 2, 3, 4. Inhale. 1, 2, 3, 4. Hold. 1, 2, 3, 4. Exhale. Gain hold. So simple. And I'm gonna just share with you a couple more simple techniques. And so you got box breathing, very easy. 4, 4, 4, 4. Another one is Dr. Andrew Weil's 4, 7, 8. So inhale for 4, hold for 7, exhale for 8. Now, remember what I said earlier? When you exhale more than you breathe in, you're putting yourself into a calming state. So for those of you who have trouble sleeping, this is a very simple technique to calm yourself down so that you can start to slow the brain down. The more you exhale, that can actually make you a bit more sleepy. And this is something you could try out with children. And then another one I want to share with you is called straw breathing. Straw breathing works like this. So you inhale and then exhale 80% like through a straw. And then the final 20%, close your mouth and then exhale through your nose. So just try that. So inhale and then exhale 80% through a straw. And then final 20%, close your mouth through your nose. You're already going to be calming what we call the vagus nerve. So few simple breathing techniques, very accessible, very practical. And I know this is kind of obvious about getting enough sleep, but we all have our own relationships with sleep. And I was a bit obsessed with sleep for a while. In fact, to a point of total obsession. I was, wearing all the devices to monitor my sleep, to see how many hours of REM I was getting. And, it was just simple. Shut off there's what we call the 3-2-1 rule. Again, another simple way to remember. 3 hours before you go to sleep, don't eat anything. 2 hours before, don't drink anything. And 1 hour before, no devices. Just practice sleep hygiene so that you can rest. And remember that when you sleep, your brain is actually deleting the files that you don't need. And I know for a fact that, and especially at my age, that if I don't get a good night's sleep, I'm not able to function. So sleep is really important to me. And it says here that, a nap of 10 minutes can really improve your cognitive function, but I don't know if it's practical to be able to take a nap during the day. If you can, great. And I have another technique that I want to share with you. And this is another way to reset your brain. It's called NSDR, non-sleep deep rest. Non-sleep deep rest, I don't know if anyone is familiar with this. I discovered this recently and I love it. And it's also known as yoga nidra. And, if you don't have access to a class, there are so many guided meditations available on YouTube and also on an app that I highly recommend called Insight Meditation. Insight Meditation is great. You get hundreds of guided meditations for free. And whether you have 5 minutes or 10 minutes or 30 minutes, you can just key in what type of meditation you want. Do you want to calm down? Do you want to have some energy? You want to improve your emotions? They've got everything. But I really like Yoga Nidra or NSDR because it gives your body that calming state of rest. And then you're able to get back and focus and get back to work again. It's the concept behind NSDR is that you're getting the type of rest in your body and calming the brainwaves, but not to a state where you're asleep and then you come out of it groggy because it's non-sleep. But it's really easy. I really recommend you try it out. And when I go to these yoga nidra classes for 45 minutes, they're a little bit more deep. There's sound therapy and there's a really beautiful guided process. And I always come out of those feeling extremely rested because according to NSDR and the sleep experts, that going through 45 minutes of such a type of meditation is equivalent to getting 3 hours of rest. So, I'm all for efficiency. So if that's available to you, please try it out. The next tool that I want to share with you is about handling, managing conflict and difficult relationships. And I love this imagery of Barbara in the cylinder. And this is about how to deal with difficult people. So you can see her face is really happy because even though this person is spewing out a lot of negative energy. So it's a simple technique, but very, very effective. If you just protect yourself in any type of protection, in this case, it's a glass jar. I used to put like a flame around myself to just protect my energy. And Barbara has a masterclass called How to Deal with Difficult People. She shares, this is one of the many tools that she shares.
if you're interested in that, if you find yourself in situations where you're dealing with negative people, you're having to deal with conflict. I know Barbara is a certified mediator, so she can share with you a lot of tools around that. And if you just drop an email to Dame and to the Hinwood Institute, she'll send you a link to the replay. So the cylinder really works if you are perhaps dealing, sitting in a dysfunctional workplace or just dealing with difficult people. This next one is called Detach. And Detach is a tool by Judy Hinwood. And when we say detach, it's not like the Buddhists or the monks' way of just detaching from the situation. It's actually a physical exercise. So if an incident has occurred, there's stress involved, and you are able to resolve it, but don't carry it with you. The thing with us human beings is we tend to ruminate. We analyze, and then we overanalyze, and then we think about a situation that's already passed. We can't change it. So immediately after the incident, the key is to remove yourself from the environment, do your breathing to calm your nervous system, get out of that stress response mode, and then just flick off the energy. Like, just flick it off. You can use a hand motion, or shake it out. I tend to just shake the nervous energy off and say, I release, I let go, I move on. This could be a winner for you. Just, I release, I let go, I move on, and really let go. I think it's the hanging on that keeps us in the chronic stress mode. So just another quick video. There's a book called Why Zebras, I say zebra, but you say zebra, Why Zebras Don't Get Ulcers. And here is just a quick clip. It's a book written by a stress management scientist.
Cecilia, there's no sound.
I know, for some reason it's not showing. I'm sorry. I'm just gonna, it's just a quick little funny video. I'll send it to you. I don't know if you can hear him. Sorry about that. Let me just go back.
1, 2, 3. Where's Dennis?
You all see now?
A book called Zebras Don't Get Ulcers. What does a zebra have to be stressed about? What does a zebra have to be stressed about? Lions getting eaten. They're not on the savannah going, do you think you're black with white stripes? I think I'm white with black stripes. They're not talking about that. Their worry is being eaten. So say there's a zebra on the savannah. Lion bursts out of the bushes, tries to eat it. Now, if the zebra is lucky enough to get away, by the time the lion's given up the chase, what does the zebra go back to doing? Eating grass. They don't get in a group and go, oh my gosh, holy crap, that was close. Yeah, we're sitting ducks out here. And then they don't get in a group and go, right, is everyone here? 1, 2, 3. Where's Dennis? Where's Dennis? Yeah, they've got Dennis. And there's not a zebra off to the side going, once again, I will point out, none of the lions chase me. None of them. Am I different? Do I run funny? Yeah, they're not. They go back to eating grass. But what we found is that our big brains, while they were capable of doing cool stuff, mostly drove us nuts.
Okay. That's just a silly little clip just to emphasize that it's in our nature
Now,
to
when I was at
ruminate. And now we're back to the resilient whole you, the resilient leader model. So today we talked a lot about stress and how to manage our time and resilience. I am going to just reiterate the Hinwood Institute Principles of Success, and then we're going to get into some homework for you. Now, before you sign off, this is the important part, because we want to make sure that you're able to take away and apply, make some changes that will create positive change in your life. So I hope that we shared a little bit more about the tools and the strategies and brought you a little bit more clarity. And my whole thing is about our essence, about knowing who we really are. And just understanding that is going to give you so much more impetus for overcoming the challenges that we face day to day. And agility is another one that didn't really get a chance to talk about today, but just being able to apply those tools denotes that there is agility in you. Unwavering, we talked about perseverance, and then of course, well-being. So here are the steps, and I'm going to ask you now to just put on pause. We covered a lot. I talked for an hour and 30 minutes now. So here's one thing. I'm going to ask you to write down a couple of things that you're going to stop doing. You don't have to share, but this is something very personal. If I can promise you that if you itemize a couple of things in each category, you can make lasting change and get you closer to smashing it, being out there, owning the world. And it's not going to be huge. We want to be realistic as well. I don't think that we can do 21 new things, but let's just start with stopping a couple, starting a couple of new ones, and then continuing. And I will give you a very simple accountability tool that can help you. So I'll give you a couple of minutes to make some notes. A couple of things you're going to stop, a couple of things you're going to start, a couple of things you're going to continue. And then I'm going to ask a few people to share. Eek. That is actually the secret to the accountability part, is if you either type it in the chat or if you publicly declare it. That is a way to hold you accountable. I'm going to resume the recording. And I'm going to share this last little bit of my presentation. We're almost towards the end, and I want to share with you some additional resources that you can access. And let me just make sure. Oops. Whoops, share screen. Where is it? Okay, hang on. Okay, here we go. Got it. Okay. So where to go from here? Now, again, I have these resources that you can immediately access. One of them is your resilience scorecard. I've taken this. It's really handy. It gives you a score on the 5 pillars. And you just need to go to resilientleader.scorecard.com. Sorry, scoreapp.com. And Dame is also going to pop it in the chat for you to access. And this will give you a reading. It's always good to get a diagnostic to know where you're starting from. Janine, this might be good for your team just to see where they're at, how they rate themselves. And then this is what I recommend to book a complimentary strategy session, especially if you're time crunched. Barbara is the time tamer. She's famous for her coaching in time management. And she promises that she can help you gain 3 to 4 hours a week. Just something like a few simple habits. And I am also happy to spend a little bit of time with you. Again, complimentary, no sales pitch, no obligation. I'd love to share with you some resilience tips. And if anyone here is interested in removing a limiting belief, it's one of my favorite things to do, is to help someone work through changing their mindset. And I believe Dame is going to pop the link in the chat for you to access. And I'm very happy to spend some one-on-one time with you. Now, Barb here has created a little video, and this is where you can go to for our free resources. Oh my goodness, I am just so impressed with the Hinwood Institute and all the freebies that they offer. So Barb has like 101 time-saving tips, and you can just click on to any one of those resources and you'll get it. It's a great collection of tips from real people that she's collected over the years. And then here's a little video. You can actually go to our site and go to shop, and there are free programs. There are some paid for programs as well. And there's one that she recommends called Emotional Resilience for Life, ERFL. It's a program developed by Judy Hinwood, and it's a self-guided course. So look at all this. So Expect a Miracle books. There's a free book from by Dr. John Hinwood. So please go to the site and get some free resources. And then moving on, I want to show you, Barb has a Sheroes program. I'm not sure if you've heard of it. And again, you can get more information. She is, I think spots are limited, and you can register your interest by emailing her directly. And I want to bring your attention to some upcoming masterclasses and workshops. So I'll be presenting a masterclass on high performance through resilience, personality awareness, which is one of my favorite topics, and psychological safety in the workplace. And then Barb is presenting Creating a Miracle Mindset. These are complimentary. Again, you can just register and join us. And then I have one on May 8th about personalities in action. I believe that we all handle resilience a little differently based on our personalities, whether you're extroverted, introverted, and we have some strategies based on your preference, your preferred working style. And then we have Foundations of Emotional Resilience. And then the one on June 5th is about being agile. So I am close to wrapping up. That's a lot of information there. We maybe have about 12 minutes left. So I'm going to just bring you to our wrap-up page. And the QR code is a review, Google review. Barb has been asking for Google reviews. So if you feel compelled, please give us a review. We love sharing our knowledge. That's one thing that Barb and I have a lot in common. We're very passionate about sharing our knowledge, and I believe that nothing is original, meaning that I learn from so many people, and I'm very happy to share with all of you here. It has been such a joy to present this, and I want to thank you for staying until the end. So I'm going to stop the presentation, and then I'm going to pause the recording and see if there are any final comments before I let you go. I want to thank you for being here, and I hope that thank you for joining us today. I hope that you took away some tools